Hello and welcome to Transformers Robots in Disguise 2015 Warrior Class Grimlock's review. Yeah, this is a green and black dinosaur calling himself Grimlock, who also doesn't sound anything like Grimlock. I'm not usually one of those purist people who's all like, this doesn't resemble the exact thing I grew up with, so it's terrible, but the personality change is a little bit weird. I mean, this is supposed to be, at least this is my understanding. I can never tell with Hasbro and their aligned continuity nonsense, but from everything that they are billing this show as, it is a continuation of the Transformers Prime universe. And the Dinobots in the Transformers Prime universe are supposedly the same Dinobots from the Fall of Cybertron and War for Cybertron, and then the subsequent Beast Hunters and Rage of the Dinobots comics from IDW. So, how did that become this? Like, how did he become a jive street talking dude? I mean, I don't understand anything about the whole him supposed spoilers. He's like from a Decepticon prison ship or something. I mean, I just don't understand how this Grimlock has anything to do with the Grimlock that has already been established in the Prime universe. It's not like this is animated when it's the first time we've ever seen Grimlock or something like that. We've already seen Grimlock in the Prime universe, which this is supposedly a sequel to. So I'm just not understanding how suddenly he's a different character. This is like the whole Unicron trilogy being like, they're connected shows, even though nothing is the same and continuity is completely atrocious. Especially with Optimus being alive again, I'm like, are you sure these are connected shows, or are you just saying they're connected shows because you want to? Yeah. So, he's cool. He's a cool figure. All of my weirdness about him really has nothing to do with the toy itself. I mean, it's a solid toy. It's not awesome, but it's actually pretty fun. It was the first Robots in Disguise figure that I opened, actually. I got all these guys for Christmas. Thank you, awesome sister. And he's good. The only real complaint that I have about him in Dino mode is that this chomping gimmick is a little bit too loose for my tastes. It really doesn't take very much, and it basically just ends up with his mouth hanging agape all of the time, which I'm not a huge fan of. The problem is that I can't really tell what kind of mechanism this is on. I mean, it's all very self-enclosed, and I don't see really any way to tighten it up, which is kind of unfortunate. And I don't want to break the thing, so I think I might just kind of have to deal with it. It's not horribly loose, but it's definitely not super tight either. His hands just kind of do this little thing. And his legs are probably not all that awesome. These are also his arms in robot mode, and they put them on these kind of weird ratchet things with this little gray spring-loaded thing in there, and they like ratchet really hard one direction and barely ratchet in the other direction. It kind of feels like those semi-transparent plastic zip tie things that you can use to like secure stuff and like bags. That's kind of what it feels like. Like, it only goes in one direction, and then it's really, really hard to pull it out in the other one. And I've definitely seen a lot of reports of people breaking these, and people breaking the little gray plastic thing that's in there, so I'm always really, really careful with these, and to be perfectly honest, I kind of just leave them bent. I usually leave them bent like one out, and I just kind of leave them there, because it generally lets him stand pretty well in Dino mode, and it makes his arms kind of a slight natural bend in his robot mode. And then I just don't have to be worried about it. But if you have kids, that's something I would be concerned about, and if you're more rough with your toys, definitely also something I would be concerned about. Here is Wave 1 and 2 in their vehicle and beast modes. Transforming Grimlock is very easy. You just want to kind of point his arms out of your way, come back here, fold the little toesies up. Then you can pull these bits that are going to disconnect. They kind of peg in right there and kind of just scoop around this stuff. And then you can just come in here and fold this out and split the legs. These parts right here will come down. They're kind of loose, but they don't really need to be tight for what they do because they end up swinging around, and this post right here pegs in right there on both legs. Then you fold this into the leg like that, and you've got his legs done. Then up here you just want to fold his head back around onto his back, which reveals his robot head. And then these things, it's a little strange. You're going to bend the arm so that you can wrap this kind of up and around like this, and then this robot arm or dinosaur arm kind of folds back like that. Oops. And then just fold his hand out of the side of the dinosaur leg. So again, just going to fold this up, I'm going to fold this around, plug that in, and then fold this up behind there. And then rotate this around and fold out the hand. And there you have Grimlock in his robot mode. And here you have a size comparison of all of the Wave 1 and 2 warrior figures in their robot modes. And they're all generally the same size. Optimus is a little bit taller, but they're all generally the same size, width, mass, all of that. There's not a huge level of variance between these figures. Grimlock does not actually come with any weapons, so he doesn't have one to talk about, but he is pretty cool in his robot mode. His back is a little bit hollow and kind of gappy, just given the way that stuff transforms, but it's not terrible. It's not like hollow, it's just got some gappy parts. His stability is pretty good, although he does become a little bit back heavy because you can't move his feet forward at all, so he really can't take any poses that aren't forward bendy. I mean, even then that's a little weird because you can't move his leg back. The way that these clip in is a little bit too loose, so they kind of fall out sometimes, but if you just grab the leg on both sides instead when you're moving it, it's not that big of a deal. I just tend to forget sometimes and grab it by the outside, which ends up popping the outside off, so don't do that. So his articulation is decent, but not awesome. He's got a swivel on his head. He's got these outward kind of movement thing. It doesn't do all that much. And then he's got full rotation there, which is fine enough. He's got upper arm rotation, and then this terrible clicky, clacky joint thing. I really hate this. I really hate it. I don't know why they did this for his arms. They're like loose until they're tight, and then they're loose again. I hate these. If there's a single thing in the entire first wave of RID 2015, even first and second wave, this is probably the only thing that I genuinely really hate about any of these figures. It's just really dumb. I don't know why they... And it's like on a thing, these are gonna break. I'm pretty much just expecting that these are gonna break, which is lame. He does not have any waist rotation. He's got universal hips, upper leg rotation, and kind of a soft ratcheted knee bend that's not super great, but you get enough out of it. And then his foot only moves forward transformation, so it's really not helpful at all. So that's essentially Grimlock. He's not the most posable figure, but he looks pretty cool, and he definitely looks good next to the other bots in this line. I really, really, really do not like his arms, though. Those are pretty terrible. I really don't like his elbows. My final thoughts on this figure are that he's good enough. He's definitely better than Prime, so there's that. I would definitely enjoy this if I was a kid. I would still hate these arms if I was a kid. That's really the big thing I keep coming back to on this figure, is how much I hate these arms. They kind of ruin the entire figure. I know that sounds kind of ridiculous, but they're not posable. Every time I move them, I'm scared that they're gonna snap. They wiggle in an awkward kind of... It looks like he's on, like, a caffeine high or something. I mean, I'm just really, really, really not a huge fan with the way they handle these legs. I don't know why they did it that way. Maybe there was some kind of reason. He's not heavy enough that I think this was necessary to support him in his dinosaur mode. I mean, he's a pretty light figure, so I don't know. I don't design toys, so I don't want to say they're dumb, but they're dumb. That said, he's a good figure otherwise. He's got cool color. He's a cool design. His transformation's pretty fun. I don't really have any other problems with the figure other than those arms. I feel like I'm more negative about this figure than I should be because there's one single problem, but that one problem for me really just is a poopy problem. So, yeah, I like this figure. I still recommend him. He's probably one step above Prime for me in terms of, let me see. He's either, like one step below Prime, maybe tied with Steeljaw, but I think I still like Steeljaw more than him. So, yep. He's a good figure. I recommend him, but I definitely don't recommend him over the majority of the other RID warriors. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.